Hello, everybody, and welcome to another season of the She is Unleashed podcast. My name is Dr. Mirriam Knight, and I am your host. This is a space where high performing, faith driven women come to recalibrate their leadership, align with purpose, and rise into their next with clarity and confidence. In today's episode, we're tackling something that is both terrifying and transformative: the pivot. What do you do when the plan you were committed to is no longer the plan God is blessing? Whether it's a career change, a business model shift, or even a spiritual transition, the courage to pivot requires faith, discernment, and strategy. And I want to walk you through it because I'm currently going through this pivoting moment in my own life. Because as faith driven men and women, we literally experience this not just once, twice, several times during our journey of leadership and faith. So let's start here. When do we know that it's time to pivot? Pivoting doesn't always mean something failed. Sometimes it's something fulfilled in its assignment. In 1 Kings chapter 17, we see that Elijah was fed by ravens at the brook Cherith. But then the brook dried up, not because Elijah sinned, but because the season shifted. Not everything is a devil, y'all. Not everything is a spiritual attack. So, how do you know it's time to pivot? One, the grace lifts for that season. Two, the fruit stalls. Three, the vision expands beyond the current container. And four, you start sensing a holy restlessness, like the cloud has moved, that God is moving, and that you need to move as well. So here's the thing: discernment is so important in seasons of pivot. Not every dry place is assigned to move, but if God is nudging you, don't ignore it out of loyalty to a former season. I want you to take a moment right here and look at your life and just do a quick evaluation, a quick assessment. Where has the grace lifted in your current assignment? So sometimes it's not the whole assignment, it may be specific parts of the assignment where you are recognizing that there is a shift, there's a movement that is taking place. Here's the thing, y'all. Let's be honest. When we are faced with a pivot, this call, this nudging to shift and to move in a specific season, it can be absolutely terrifying. I know for me, this current season that I am in, it's a faith season and it's also a terrifying season because I've never been in the space that I am in currently. The fear factor. Why does it feel so hard to pivot sometimes? And why do we find ourselves stuck and often second guessing this move that we know God is calling us to? Letting go of something successful can be really scary. Facing the unknown can be terrifying. Starting over when you thought you'd finally arrive. Come on, I'm making it. That can be absolutely terrifying. I know this firsthand because I'm in the process right now of shifting in my clinical career as a therapist and stepping into this space of being obedient to God one step at a time. It means letting go of some clients, letting go of some processes, letting go of some relationships in this season, and stepping into something new or something expanded that I've never been in. Listen, being an entrepreneur when I was full-time employed and stepping into the space of walking by faith every day, it was absolutely terrifying. And it wasn't a shift that I had to do because I was failing. No, I was actually thriving and flourishing and on my way to really climbing up the corporate ladder. And God said, it's time to move. I felt the call of God. I felt the nudge of God. In our company, we have what we call the Heal Leadership model. And we talk about how in order for us to expand, we must be willing to release. We have to be willing to release control. We have to be willing to release fear, reputation, and even timelines. You can't become who you're called to be and still cling on to who you've been, y'all. We can't do that. You can't go. I was literally talking to a client about this the other day. We can't step into the new while we're holding on to the past, to something from the old, something that is past its season. And for a lot of us, we cling on to the old and the familiar because it feels safe and we're not really sure about this unknown space, whether it's really going to work out. But God wants us to be all the way in when we walk and we embark on this journey of faith. For every high performing woman, we often wrestle with this question: do I trust the God who's called me more than I trust the comfort of what's known, more than I trust my experience, more than I trust my connections, more than I trust my bank account? Because listen, the times when God will call you to pivot, he will literally call you to walk out in faith. And it's not on a basis of anything that you've done, but is literally, will you trust me in this season? Abraham had to leave everything without a map on the promise in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 4. God said, follow me. God said, leave your household, leave your father's household. Let's go. And he had to make a decision as to whether he will trust God and whether following the call of God and the nudging of God was more important to him than the comfort of what he had known. So let's talk about practicality. How can we practically pivot in the space of shifting? We have a program called the Birthing Your Vision Intensive, and we also have VIP strategy days where we help clients literally intensely work through this moment of pivot, this moment of shift that they are feeling in their hearts. There's a 5-part plan to this pivot. One, we've got to pause and we've got to get still and not rush the decision. And this does not mean second guessing or self-sabotaging, y'all. It really means taking time to sit with God and ask God, Lord, what do you want me to do? God will speak clearly when we silence the noise and the chaos and we cultivate a space of stillness. Number 2, we've got to pray and talk to God and ask for clarity and not for comfort. In Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 to 6, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. This is the promise. I will make your path straight if you trust me. Number 3, there's a process. You've got to assess what are the skills, the assets, the lessons that are transferable from previous seasons. God does not waste anything. Don't waste what you've gained in previous seasons, but allow God to build on the foundation of those things. Now, here's something else. I want you to recognize that in some seasons, God will completely rebut everything and cause you to start from scratch because maybe the foundation that you've laid in the past was not in alignment with his will and his plan for your life. We've got to be willing to let go of the familiar in those situations. And sometimes even when he transfers over the skills, the lessons, and the assets from previous seasons, it does not look the same in the current season as it looked like in the past. We've got to allow God to shuffle and reframe our vision and our perspective of everything as we move into new seasons. And number 4, plan. We've got to reverse engineer the vision. When God shows you where he's leading you, ask him, okay, Lord, that's the vision. How do I backtrack it? How do I work this vision back from there to where I am right now? Where are you going and what will it require to get from here to there where he's leading you? And 5, this is a really important one and one that God has really cultivated in my own personal life in this season. Partner. You were never meant to pivot alone. You were never meant to walk this journey alone. You've got to be intentional in seeking wise counsel and strategic support in your season of pivot. Y'all, we don't walk alone. I have coaches, I have therapists, I have pastors, I have people that are surrounding me in the season, and I'm also intentionally asking the Lord to position me in new relationships, in new communities that are necessary for this next level that he's leading me to. Remember, clarity doesn't always come before obedience. Sometimes the clarity comes through your obedience. When you step into the river, then it will begin to part. For some of us, we're waiting for God to part the ocean, part the river before we step in. God is like, that's not how it works. We have to actually move with God. Move with God in this current season. So let me share some client stories with you. There are several clients that I've worked with over the last several years, but there's one specific woman who pivoted from a full-time corporate human resource job to launching her own consulting firm. Y'all, for some of us, it might be a pivot from full-time work where we're working for someone else in corporate to launching our own consulting firms, our own businesses, our own nonprofits, our own ministries, whatever it is that the Lord is placing on your heart. And because this woman obeyed God, she found more freedom, more impact, more revenue in 6 months than she had in 6 years. Another one stepped away from a 6-figure coaching offer to go deeper into ministry and saw doors open for her internationally in less than 90 days because she obeyed God. Listen, y'all, your gift will make room for you, and at the same time, your obedience will also lead you to the places of provision that God has for you that are in alignment with his will. I'm preaching to myself too as I'm sharing this. In Isaiah 43 verse 19, it says, behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Your pivot may be the path to promise, but only if you're willing to walk it. Only if you're willing to take a risk on God and trust Him. Sis, you're not failing. You're being rerouted in this season. And often divine detours lead to deeper destiny. So what do you do when other people don't understand your pivot season? When God shifts you, not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Listen, when Noah built the ark with no rain in sight, many said he was crazy. Mary said yes to birthing Jesus with no man in sight, no hubby, no boyfriend, no nothing inside, because a lot of times the things God is calling us to do will require risk, will require something of us that will put us in spaces that are uncomfortable, unfamiliar, y'all. And I promise you that as we obey God and we follow God and we listen to His beckoning and His call, we will see God move in ways that we've never seen Him move before. Listen, you don't need universal agreement to walk in divine alignment. God didn't give them the vision, He gave it to you. Honor people's confusion. It's okay, but don't let it convert your conviction. This is what God is telling you to do. Follow His conviction and His instruction. Your obedience is absolutely, it's not a popular vote. It's just, what is God telling you? Listen, you've got to guard your pivot season. Surround yourself with faith-filled voices and silence the unnecessary noises. Here's a discernment check real quick. Who in this season confirms your calling and who confuses it? You've got to be very intentional in who you surround yourself with. Y'all, this is the end of this episode. In this season, we are really digging deep into what expansion looks like. And if this episode stirred something in you, if you know a pivot is coming but need clarity, strategy, or courage, I want to invite you to come to download either the Career Pivot Prayer and Strategy Guide that you will find in the footnotes below. It's a free tool to help you process your next step with God at the center. Or two, apply for a VIP strategy day. This is for the woman who knows that it's time to shift and needs a personal high-touch support to map the next move, y'all. There's so many other ways in which we can work together. There's a 3-month intensive and a 6-month intensive. The links will be in the footnotes. Make a connection today. We want to support you on your journey. We want to see you win. We want to see you walk in what God has called you to. It's pivoting time, y'all. So go ahead, visit the link on the footnotes below to access these tools. And finally, sis, pivot in power, not panic. God is with you. I'll leave you with this. The pivot may feel like a loss, but in the spirit, it's actually a launch. You are not behind. You're becoming, and God will meet you on the other side of your obedience. This is She is Unleashed. I'm your host, Dr. Mirriam Knight. Share this with a woman you love. Leave a review, and remember, like, share, subscribe. Y'all, we want your support, but we also want to support you. And remember, your pivot is not a breakdown. It is actually a birthing. God bless you, and see you next week.